This episode of Cello Chat is brought to you by Carriage House Violins of Johnson String Instrument. Please visit us at www.carriagehouseviolins.com.
All right, and we're live. Hello, Cello Bella fans, and welcome to today's chat with Malcolm Parson. We are so thrilled to have him host today's broadcast. And today's topic is titled, How to Practice Scales for Improvising. And feel free to write any questions related to today's topic directly in this live chat, and they will answer each during the Cello Chat. All right, I'm going to kick it off to you, Malcolm.
Hey, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well on this Sunday. I know a few people may be occupied watching the AFC Championship, but I'm glad most of us are here. I'll start off just improvising and playing some stuff, letting some people come into the chat. So we'll just play until everyone's here. Yeah, we'll take it from there. And I'll start talking about some concepts on what I've been doing in the past to use my skills for improvisation. Awesome. Well, I shouldn't have said that. Sometimes you have to applaud yourself, like, "Oh man, I did kind of good. I did better than what I thought I would do." So, all right, how do we practice our scales so that we'll be able to play whatever we want or whatever we hear immediately? Now and I'll go as slow as possible, And these are things that I'm still practicing right now. I was just working on my diminished scales with these concepts. So I'll take it slow. I don't have any PDFs, but if you want to write some of this stuff down, I would, advise you to do that so you can remember. And some of these things you can find in different jazz articles or jazz advice or exercises that I found myself through research. So what we want to do, let's just stay with C major for a second. Now, as classical musicians, we're all trained to play our scales up and down, Whatever. And come back down. But does that actually work for a solo? Like, if we were doing something in C major and somebody's playing in the back, would it sound cool to... It could be the catalyst to a good solo, but that can't be everything. So for instance, one thing that we can do to get a better understanding of our instrument and a better understanding of the kind of like the guitar, you know how the guitar have it's kind of like the same thing. So let's start with just one octave scales. And to do this in all keys. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying to do... No. One thing you could do that could work, if you want to work on all of your scales in all keys, is just to do one octave. Now, this other technique I'm going to say, all right, so one octave. And then you can do it in half steps, or you can do it in a circle of fifths. Now we go to F, B, and so on and so forth. But that's still kind of limiting. So how can we also attack each key and have our brain be exercising our brain muscles too? Now, one thing that I'm going to use, no matter what we're talking about, is this concept of up, down, or down, up. You understand? Going up, down, or down, up. And what that means is, all right, say that we're doing our one octave scales, major, just one octave, going up. And chromatically now. Let's not start with D flat. Let's not do that. Let's go down. Up. Down, and so on and so on. That's one way of attacking our scale so that we'll have the facility to play, in each key. And this doesn't limit itself just to C major. You can do this minor, your melodic minor scale, so on and so forth. Now, beyond just doing the scale and doing it all 12 keys, there's a lot of information that you can do simply in just one key, playing diatonically, starting on each note and doing that scale on that key. So for instance, if we're in C, let's do D, but in C. and then E, F, and then we can take the same concept of up, down, or down, up, and do it that way. So we can also, instead of hitting every key with just that major scale, we can practice several different scales and chords just in one scale, like, you know. And so on and so forth, right? Now, with that information, we can then go on to attacking using intervals as the beginning phases of a melody. So for instance, I know we've all been practicing our thirds and our sixes and our octaves and whatever and so forth. But how can we use that for improvising with the same concept of up, down? Now if we're doing it in C major and then we're staying in C major, we do the same thing. Up, down, up, down. Oh, sorry. Up, down, up, down. And so on and so forth. We can also take that little bit of information and do it in all keys. And so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. We also have the concept of using fourths with the up-down concept. I'll stay in C. So if we do up with fourth, you know, we can also do that. So this is a way of attacking all of our intervals in that particular scale with just the concept of going up and down or down and up. Now, I haven't experienced or I haven't done the down up for you. So it's just basically going backwards. Instead of going, we would just go down up. And, you know, it's still hard for me as well. And these are ways of getting you out of just the concept of doing which are all great bases to start a solo off, you know, but it'd be great to have other possibilities within this. Now, we can also go with our sixes, doing the same concept with six. Let's see. And up and down, doing it the same way. We have sevenths we can use. And these are all ways of getting you out of your brain, and you know, we'll get to the latter part of it. Now, so we have all of our intervals that we can use doing the concept of down, up, or up, down, or whatever you're comfortable with. And I myself are still practicing this stuff, as you can see. And I would advise you to go really slow. You want to get your head and your body to come together for a second. You know, and these things is somewhat unfamiliar for us because we haven't been doing this. We've just been playing a lot of pop etudes. So give yourself some time and don't like rush this, you know. Put it on a metronome and go really slow. No matter how slow you go. You know, so on and so forth. The other thing we can do with our scales is arpeggios. Like outside of just, you know, we can arpeggiate each scale degree with thirds. I mean, with a triad or a seventh. And what I mean by that, it'll be C, D, right? We can do that. Or we can do sevenths. You know, we have that information as well. And that was just going up, 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 up. Now it gets tricky when you go up, down, you know? I forgot. We can do that as well. And to not, limit it just to one key, but that really depends on how comfortable you are with the information. You could just stay with one key for a while and try to master that, or you can take just the first few notes in that scale and work that through each key. So it could just be the first two and C, doing your sevenths. Now go to F. Now go to B flat. Go to A flat. And so on and so forth. And the concept of going up and down. Go really slow. I know I may be throwing a lot at you guys right now. Now that's one aspect of just motivic development. We're just using the intervals with just scale tones. The other, as well as diatonic arpeggios that we were just doing, triads and sevenths. And we can also create scalar patterns. The concept of doing something like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Throughout the whole thing, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's just 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, and you can get creative with that. That's just one that I've rested on, and I need to find some other ones myself. I think one that I found a second ago was 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's pretty easy. And then come, and you can also do the up down or down up, which I haven't tried. I don't feel like embarrassing myself with that right now. So that's another idea. We have scalar patterns that you could come up with, and don't be shy to create your own. Like, try to figure out some that speaks to you. It just happens that those speak to me, and I probably found it through transcribing something and stuck with that. But you can try stuff like 1, 2, 3, 5. Just figure that out, just to get your head out of. We're trying to get outside of that. That's the basis. We all know that by now. I mean, we're all pretty great cellists, and we can play Dvorak and cello concerto and whatever. So we all know these scales, but now we're trying to get a better understanding of our fretboard. And it's kind of like we're practicing these ideas so we can kind of play our cello as if we were a guitar player. When they go into bar chords and stuff, they know their instrument and their fret. So this is allowing you to get a better understanding where all these notes are. And the other thing I would say is, of course, transcribing lines. Now, when you're transcribing lines, these lines do come from a scale. It's not as if, it's a line, but that's a scale too, And to take those ideas into every key, you can do every key in one day, or you can simply focus on one key for a while, just depending on how fast you want to go or how advanced you are, and so on and so forth. For that, we can do something. I'll experiment like a minor 2/5 could be. That's in C. Now go to F. Now go to B flat. E flat. And so on and so forth. That's another way of practicing your scale, and also giving you information that a scale kind of wouldn't provide, because it's outside of just playing it up and down. It's giving you the whoa. It's like melodic minor, be natural, rather than just playing melodic minor how we normally would, going up and then coming back down. And then when you go to improvise, you're like, I'm just playing a scale up and down. Now, how do we integrate this stuff? I know I just threw a lot at you guys, but how do we integrate this stuff, even if we can play this in an exercise? Like, oh man, You know, I've been practicing seconds and stuff, but it can't come out of me when I'm improvising. Now with this, I would take one concept, probably put on a metronome. Let me see if I can get the metronome going. I like to put the metronome on 2 and 4, if that makes any sense. So, well, that's way too fast. Like 2 and 4. This is 2 and 4. That's what I mean. 1, 2, 3. So it has a little groove. Now, say we're working on just the concept of seconds, right? And that should be easy to do. We've played seconds in every key. And what I mean by a second is just F, B flat, and then, so how do we practice this? We can literally take that concept, put on a play along, put on a tune you may be working on, or the tune that I was playing at the beginning was Dolphin Dance. So if I take the concept of just doing seconds over the whole tune, not like I'm gonna just do it. I mean, you could do it for a second and improvise, but the improvising is really, when you're practicing it, you're putting a chain on yourself so you can focus on something that you're really trying to integrate in your playing. So by doing this, let's take Dolphin Dance for a second. And just the concept of the seconds. 2, 3, and 3, 4. You see what I'm saying? Then we have A, to, back to G. And you could do that. Or the concepts of fourths. Let's try it with, let's try it with the fourth. Let's see if I can do that. 3, and. You know, I'm forcing myself to focus just on that intervallic melodic development. And these things could be the beginning of your solo, and a lot of guys do that. I think it's on Along Came Betty. I heard Clifford Brown use that concept of just seconds. I'm just like, oh man, these seconds, that's crazy. But I also want to say that just because I may be playing in a style of jazz or whatever it may be, that this is not just limited to that. This can work in old time, this can work bluegrass, this could work in rock, this could work in pop. You know, we're really just focusing on freeing ourselves up from so like imagine if I was playing that over the tune. It kind of gets boring really fast. So you're working on these things so you'll have more information to pull from. And while working on this and then going and, you know, transcribing, it doesn't have to be a line, it could be a song. You can find information through choruses of songs and using that through all 12 keys, or using that as the beginning of your solo. What you're gonna find is all of this stuff is based off of this. You know, oh man, he used the second. Oh man, he used the fourth. You know, he used that, and da-da-da-da-da. And as you keep going and hearing things, you can start doing stuff like mixing these concepts up. Oh man, I hope I don't embarrass myself. So say like when we're going to practice arpeggiating a seventh chords in C, right? Instead of just doing, we can come at it from like a half step, from a chromatic half step from the bottom. You know, all of this stuff that you'll find in tunes, you know. That's just from And the other thing is, you don't have to, you can, apart from focusing on each scale degree in a scale, you can focus on one scale degree and take that scale degree through all the keys. So say we're focusing on the second scale degree in C will be D, and we're going to focus on just the seventh chord of that and approaching that by a half step. But we're going to work on that in every key. Now the concept, the reason why you're doing this is because you want your mind. This is about a mind thing. You know, we can all play but your mind, it comes from here. So if we take that in consideration, we do let's do a whole step from this second scale degree in C. Now let's do a whole step in F. Second scale degree in B flat will be C, a whole step. E flat. You know, so on and so forth. And again, to integrate this stuff, play around with it. And play around with it like what I was doing a second ago. I was changing my rhythm up when we were doing like the seconds. You know, I was doing all type of different rhythms because I wanted to be uniquely myself. I wanted to get outside of just being do-bo-do-dee-do-bo-do-dee-do-do-do, and I want to make it sound cool. So if we were doing that with the 7 chords, I don't have to just do. I can take my time. B flat. You know, do. I'm trying to make it uniquely mine outside of it just being an exercise. And this stuff can be applied to any type of music you're working on, you know, be it jazz, folk tunes, and everything. You want to force yourself to stay in this box until you got it and integrate it in the way that it's yourself. And eventually it would just start coming out, you know, it would come out of nowhere. And that's how you apply these concepts, just through the simple process of improvising. And you can stay in one key. Like, I'm throwing a lot at y'all. Like, okay, let's go back to working on our thirds in C. And then we put the metronome on 2 and 4. And we just play around with it. You know, however you want to play around it, but you got to just do the thirds. You know? I'm just focusing on thirds or fourths. Sorry. And so on and so forth. So these are just small concepts, very small, micro, but large when you pull out from it, because it can be a world of possibilities and different types of possibilities and different type of information in it. One person that I would definitely advise you guys to check out, I think I have a copy here. I'm not going to give it to you yet. I need you to go support Mr. Christian Howes. He has a great method on jazz scales, or on scales in general. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, jazz scales. It's called Jazz Scales for Violin, Viola, and Cello. And it's a comprehensive look on diminished, bebop dominant, melodic minor, altered, blues, pentatonic wholes, all of it, with extended range. And what he mean by extended range is that he wants you to start from the lowest possible note on your instrument, and then go up. And the thing is, when you're improvising, you're not doing it's really good to be to stay in one place, to really figure out what the possibilities are in this hand, or to come here, but you don't have to it's kind of, you do it sometimes, it's a little pointless, man. Like, figure out everything that's right here. There's so much right here, let's see what else. Yeah, that's what I have to say in a nutshell for practicing scales. to do it in every direction. Stay with 1 or 2 octaves to go up. You can practice going up, up. Practice going up, down. Up is like. Up, down is down. And so on the fourth. Down, up. You would have to start down here. That stuff really changes everything. And to take the concept of it up, up, or down, down. Down, down will be. So you got up, up, down, down, and down, up. That stuff will really get your brain moving and your hands will be like, ooh. After doing like 30 minutes of that, you'd be like, ooh. Man, my brain and hands is, whatever that is. So you got that, just to practice the scales. And don't limit it just to major and minor scales. This works in everything, diminished, altered, bebop, melodic minor, Don't just limit it to all of that stuff. And again, remember that if you also just focus on one scale and do a scale on each scale degree, you're hitting so many different modes and concepts by just doing that. So up, up, down, 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 up, down, 1 or 2 octaves. And your thirds, fourths, fifths. Fifth is kind of, you really don't need that. Thirds, fourths, sixths, and sevenths. That stuff really helps. To do the same thing, up, up, down, 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 up, down. Diatonic arpeggios, and as well as scalar patterns, and coming up with your own patterns. And you can find stuff in classical music. I was talking to a friend of mine, Ray Angry. He plays keys, and we were talking, and he was working on, I think, a Bach fugue. I was like, man, I'm practicing Bach inventions on the piano. And he was like, working on some fugues. But he was taking measures of Bach fugues and putting that in all keys. And I was like, whoa. So you will always have that information in your head as well as in your hand, So yeah, diatonic arpeggio, scale patterns, and transcribing stuff. And when you go into all keys, you can do it like you can just keep it on, like what I was saying, on one information. Let's just focus on the second scale degree or the third scale degree in each key, or let's just focus on the first 2 scale degrees with fourths. So if I do that, 2 scale degrees with fourths in C major, we do C major, go to F, B flat, E flat. And when you start doing this, you'll find all this information in everything. Like the beginning of Bartók's Concerto for Orchestra, first movement, the first few measures all in fourths. Actually, the whole introduction is based off of fourths. That's why for me, I was like, whoa, this is crazy, So yeah, that's what I have in a nutshell. I guess I'll open it up for questions if there are any, or I'll just keep blabbing if you guys want to hear me talk about random things at this moment. But please, if there's any questions, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your presentation. All the live viewers are really, really enjoying it. Let me just read.
I'm glad. I'm sorry I threw all that out at you guys. It was like throwing up information.
Yeah, Juliet said, love the idea of focusing on simple exercises or patterns, then starting to integrate those concepts in a micro way. Malcolm's amazing. Derwish says cool. Shu says, great suggestions for wide range of things to do, all while in one key. Variety of possibilities. Love this. All right, and then we have a couple of questions. And Neo asks, do you have a printed PDF of these exercises?
I knew I was gonna say that. No, I don't. And I want everyone to get outside of reading it. Like, it's not gonna come to you that fast if you read it. It's really a mental thing. All you have to do, that's what I'm saying, to go slow. So if we just go with fourths, just go really slow. All right, C. I started speeding up. But it's all a mental exercise. If you read it, when it's time to really play, if somebody plays something, you're gonna be lost. So you wanna, if you are reading something, you just need to be reading that thing in one key, and you have to figure it out in every other key. But I apologize, I don't have it as a PDF. This is all from my mind and things I've been working on. So my apologies. Maybe that's something that I'll focus on doing one day in the future.
And a follow-up question. What is the best way to recover my scale proficiency, because I'm out of practice right now?
What's your best way to recover your scale proficiency? For me, I put, is this metronome loud at all? The metronome isn't loud, no? I go really slow with my scales, and I put on a tuner, say I'm working on B flat, and I go really slow, tuning each note. And this is more, that's what I feel like, to get your hand back. It's not really about going fast, but it's like you want to get your hand in your ear. You want to hear that you are in tune and knowing where the stuff is, as well as staying comfortable. You don't want to tighten your hand up. So the best thing I would do, and I would say for that, is to go really slow, put on a tuner, and things that I've learned from my teacher, Karen Freer. I haven't studied with Karen in years. Karen's a musician in the ASO, and she drilled this in me for years. We turn on the tuner, we would do that, and things that would really get my hand back in shape would be block thirds, block sixths, and octaves. You know, really slow, tuning each note. You know, six. That stuff really slow and with a tuner, because you want to make sure you're doing this stuff in tune. It wouldn't help if you just playing it and it's out of tune, or you're not relating your instrument to a pitch, and then when you go to play with people, your hand is all out of sorts because you haven't been tuning it to anything. So that's what I would do to get my hand back through scales.
Thank you. Yeah. I have a question for you. So
Yes.
I know that a lot of classical musicians find improvising quite scary, and I was wondering, what tips would you have for someone that's maybe interested in getting into improvising, but aren't sure how to go about it, like in the beginning?
Got you. I would say how I got introduced and how I was comfortable with improvising, even at a school that's focused on improvising. I had some friends of mine, Cameron, Christopher, and Pierre Luigi, and these guys were amazing improvisers. They still are, man. And they brought me in, they took me in, and we did a lot of free improvisation. No chords or nothing, because you just want to open up your mind and become comfortable with the idea of improvising. That's what you really want to do. You don't want to, I know it's frightening because it's like, the chords and what do I play and this person playing that. But for you just want to get comfortable with the concept of it. So we would get in the room and they would turn the lights off, for like 2 hours. And somebody would just be, just getting comfortable with improvising. And that's another way of warming up too. You can warm up by doing free improvisation. Or you can do free improvisation based off a scale. Like if we're in C major, just free yourself up. Instead of doing, you can just, and the other thing I want to say too, because a lot of stuff I've been spewing at you sound like licks and patterns and you want to remember that people want to hear a melody. And if you stay there, you'll be fine. So if you take that concept and I'm working on the scale or I'm just warming up, to try to create a melody with what you're doing. So if we in C, just work on a melody. Sorry, that's not in C. That kind of just spoke to me a little bit. I'm just playing whatever my heart desires. So I would take that method of just free improv, coming up with melodies and getting yourself comfortable with the idea before it's like ding 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 ding. You got chords and you're like, what is going on? So to just use that as a warm up, to get yourself outside of your scales. Warm up on your scale. Or G major. And to know that there aren't any bad notes. It's all how you resolve it. When you think about that, then anything's game. There's only 12 notes, man. Just focus on how you're going to resolve it. But that's what I would do. I hope that helped at all.
And thank you. And our next question is from our partners and friends at Together with Classical. If you had to introduce classical music to someone for the first time, how would you do it? And what piece would you suggest?
How would I do it? That's my first thing was like I would sit them down. I would do it in a way that's kind of, I guess, insidious. Mm, I would definitely start with Bach. Something that's accessible. I wouldn't start with Mahler. I wouldn't start with, Stravinsky. Just something that's accessible and something that they would like. Um, I would take them to a show, but sometimes I think the best thing to do, if it was like a friend, is to invite them over for dinner and just have it playing in the background. I'm sure something would speak to them, and then they would say, "What is that?" And I would be like, "Hey, man, that's Bach, man. That's what that is." And by that, I would hope that would spark an interest in them. The questions would start flying, and they would leave with the intention of wanting to know more, and with the action of doing more research and experiencing it on their own. Um, you can take people to a show, which is fine, but sometimes that's not the way to. It has to be something that's like, you know, insidious, like you don't see it coming. I feel like that's how I got into music. Like it wasn't like somebody was like, play this instrument, you gonna play music. It was just something that I was, just, minding my business. I'm like, man, that's cool, man. What's that? And then it took a life of its own.
All right, thanks. So for those of you that are just tuning in a bit later, Malcolm did an amazing improvisation in the very beginning, and I was wondering if you could go over some of the extended techniques that you were using during your improvisation.
Oh, that's funny because I don't really remember what I was doing when I was improvising or what techniques was happening. I was literally focusing on playing the chords. Um, Man, that's a tough question to answer. Mm. The techniques that I was doing was literally based off of, a lot of transcribing and these concept of scalar patterns and so on and so forth. Um, do you want me to like go over like a certain concept again, if that helps? Because I
Sure,
can't
yeah.
remember what I played.
Yeah, I mean, there is some like vibrato stuff that
Oh, that. That's just like, having like a nice little whisper of a sound close to the bridge. Kind of sound like a guitar, but that's literally through me like hanging out with other instrumentalists and going to their set, seeing what they do with their instrument and trying to emulate that. So I guess the extended techniques that I was employing that I really don't remember what I was doing, it's just me having the chance to bear witness to somebody else's extended techniques on their instrument and trying to apply that to my own, as well as playing with David Balakrishnan, an amazing violinist. That's something he loves to do because he's an amazing violinist, man. And he grew up listening to a lot of Jimi Hendrix, so a lot of all that stuff is. If that helps, I don't think that really helped my answer, but I hope it did. Yeah, I wish I knew what I was doing.
Do you have any memorable performances like that you'd love to talk about? Because you've performed with a lot of very famous musicians.
A memorable performance for me, it had to be playing with Mr. Cyrus Chestnut and having the opportunity to just vibe with him on stage. And there was a lot of moments where it was me holding down the bass line and him improvising. And the conversations that I thought we were having was just amazing. We were listening. He would do something, I would respond, and he would respond back. So it was literally like a conversation. I think there's an NPR episode, Jazz Night in America or something that Christian McBride does. You could probably find that on NPR. They have the whole concert. But some of the stuff we were playing on that concert, man, I was like, whoa, whoa. Even the quartet, we were locked in, We were not confined by what was on the paper. And yeah, we messed up, but don't nobody know you mess up. It's how you resolve it, man. But I think for me, the Cyrus Chestnut gigs for me was like, it was amazing, man. And having the chance to talk to him about improvising and to experience it, it was like seeing somebody who was literally improvising. He wasn't pulling from licks he was practicing. Like you hear that a lot when you go to jam sessions, which is what that is or what it's for. Here's somebody practicing some concept or playing a concept they've been practicing. But for him, none of it felt like concepts. It was, where are we going? How do I resolve it? Anything's okay. Everything's okay. It kind of resonated with the concept of Herbie with butter notes, and I guess the experience Miles had with Herbie had with Miles when Herbie played the wrong note and Miles fixed it, and there ain't no wrong note. So for me, that was a very special time for me to have the chance and the responsibility to take that journey with him and the rest of the other guys.
I also wanted to ask, so you recently also got into composing for soundtracks, and I was wondering how you got into that and what that process of composing is like.
Oh, I got into that just being out on road and meeting people, and it was from a friend, Brian McOmber. He brought me in a few times, and I helped him play on some of his scores, and to the point where Brian invited me to co-compose a score for a film titled Little Woods with Tessa Thompson and Lily James. It was Nia Dacosta's first film. Nia has gone on to do, I think, Captain Marvel stuff, Candyman. So that wasn't a special experience because Nia just allowed us to, free will, just do what you do. It wasn't a lot of, this, that. So that's how I got in, and it's been it was a slow start, and from that other things happen and people get word and yada yada and so on and so forth. But the process of composing for film is a different process for composing for yourself or composing a commission or composing for an instrument, because you're at service to the director in the studio. It's about what they want, so you got to take your ego out of it. It's not about you. We are utilizing your expertise so that our vision can be conveyed correctly, if that makes any sense. So a lot of it is having a lot of conversations with the directors and the music supervisors and sometimes the studio heads to see exactly what it is that they're looking for. And then you going to your studio or however you want to compose, be it on paper or right to your DAW, your digital audio workstation, and trying to tackle those ideas. But it's almost like producing for an artist, you know? They give you this idea, a concept, kind of like what Amy Winehouse did with Mark Ronson. Oh man, I wanna make something that sound like, the Daptones. Well, yeah, blah blah blah. So you go and you research that, you figure out how to pull that off, and that's the type of composition of that. And it relies on everything. It's not just composing. It relies on your composing, it relies on your producing, it relies on your mixing, it relies on you being a manager of some sorts at times, and being able to write fast, like really fast. The stuff I was doing with Hillsong, I finished the first episode. It was like 50 minutes of music. I was burnt, and on Monday, I got a call, and they were like, we just want to check your bandwidth because we need like 50 minutes by Wednesday. So you're like, oh my God. So it relies on just speed, building a muscle to do it really fast. So it's a different animal, it's a different beast.
All right, we're coming up towards the end of our time, so if you have any last minute questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat and we'll try to get those answered. But do you have any closing thoughts about everything that you talked about today so far?
My closing thoughts would be to give yourself some grace. We're all human. It's going to take some time. As you can see, I'm still stumbling on stuff myself. To go really slow. This is not a game of speed, If this is a race, you want to be the turtle. Don't be the rabbit. Because if you're a rabbit and you're going really fast, at one point you're going to be improvising from your body. Your body's going to be, but you're not, you want to control where your body's going, or you want it to be kind of in sync with each other. So go really, really slow. If going this slow, if that's how slow you need to go slow. If you need to go slower than that, go slower than that, But take your time. Be nice to yourself. Stop worrying about whoever is the killing fiddle player and I want to sound like that dude. You can sound like that guy, but most importantly, you need to figure out how to sound like you. And that's what improvisation is. And the other thing with improvisation, that it leads into composition. One thing that we forgot as classical musicians is that these guys that we play their music, they were amazing improvisers, but they were improvising over form. Like imagine Bach improvising a fugue in front of you. That would be the craziest thing for me to experience. Like, what? So to bring that back into your system. The other thing with improvisation is, I guarantee you, the more you do it, the more you will have something to say in your classical pieces. The more you will have some type of personality to bring into those pieces. It'll sound like you rather than you trying to sound like whoever's the hottest whoever on the block right now. And I don't really know. The people I like, they're all gone. Rostropovich, Pierre Fournier, all those guys are gone, man. Leonard Rose, so on and so forth. But this is just a door to gain access to your spirit and your soul. So just take your time. Be nice. Be creative. Improvisation is creative practice. That's why I haven't written any of this stuff down. And the funny thing is, I used to write a lot of this stuff down. I had a manuscript book. Moleskine used to make these little manuscript books. They stopped making. I'm so disappointed about that. But I had everything, lines, and I lost it, But you can't lose something that you have in your head, And the other thing is to try to sing with this stuff. Because if you could sing it, you could play it. If you can try to sing with it, because you're trying to internalize this stuff. And if there's any questions, you guys can contact me about any other things you may have and whatnot. But most importantly, take your time, and this is about expressing yourself and figuring out what you want to say or how you want to say it.
All right, thank you so much. I think that's going to conclude it.
Perfect. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to spend some time with myself.